But are there words that are used to describe men that offend you?
Not particularly, and if there are some I don't like, I certainly wouldn't want them banned. But it always goes back to that old adage: sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Peter Lloyd.
No, that's just obnoxious.
Peter Lloyd,
sorry. You have to give me a chance to respond to that. That is ridiculous. No, hang on, I won't do your show again if you don't let me respond to that.
Go on, Kate, have a word.
Come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, first of all, to allow somebody on air. This is a women's rights movement. We're asking for equality. And to just come on and say that kind of thing. And secondly, he keeps saying this is a trivial issue, that it doesn't happen very often. The reality, as you know from talking to women in the street, is that they all have words that bother them. This is something that affects loads and loads of women. And if he's not affected by it, well, lucky him. And if he thinks he's going to take that privilege and just wander on air and say obnoxious things about a campaign for equality, then that is horrific bigotry. And I object to it being aired at any time.
But it's not about equality, because they didn't bother to analyse what men think.
Confirmed kill.
It's not about equality. Look, if anything, this is probably... The use of language and pet names is probably something that could be classed as a microaggression, and that means that the corresponding trauma is equally minuscule and isn't worth talking about.
Peter Lloyd, Kate Smurthwaite, I'm afraid we really are out of time there, but thank you both very much for your contributions.
Let's play a game. Who do you think lost the debate? Get wrecked. Thank you, Peter Lloyd.
Grab him by the pussy.
This next clip doesn't entail a feminist getting wrecked, although I can't help but think about what could have happened if the roles were reversed.
The next time, not bring my dick, please.
We are all willing to call you whatever gender and identity you want.
Are you trans? Are you experiencing oppression? Not smiling, bitch. What you want?
Now I know what you're thinking. And don't worry, I'm with you. I seriously don't know what the fuck that thing is, and I don't think I want to. One thing's for certain though, I'm going to have trouble getting to sleep tonight.
Yeah, they did grab me and pull me in and try to punch me. They're the person right over there with the black lipstick.
That's assault right there.
Officer, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that happened.
There's no reason to be
I didn't see anything.
You know what I just saw? A real-life Eric Cartman smiling at what I can only imagine is a chocolate cake in the background. But seriously guys, why are these people always so crazy and delusional? Gender fluid, gender queer, call yourself whatever you want. Nobody gives a shit. Personally, the only reason I hate this, whatever the fuck this thing is because they act like fucking degenerates.
Yeah,
nothing happened. I didn't see anything. Nothing happened. I didn't see anything.
They're telling me what I can find funny.
This next clip was also featured in one of my Can't Stump the Milo videos, but it is one of my favorite moments and I have to add it in here for those who haven't seen it yet.
Well, that isn't funny. I find AIDS quite funny. I find Islam quite funny. I find all sorts of things that I'm not supposed to... What's that? Aloha snack bar, yeah. I find trannies quite funny. I mean, all these things are inherently very entertaining, but we're told that we can't laugh about them because we're offending someone. Oh. Madam, I'm grateful to you for coming, but to be quite honest with you, fuck your feelings.
Confirm kill.
Off you go. Off you go. Off you go. I'm sorry, darling, this isn't the silver-haired snowflake show. This is the Milo show, and it's time for you to go.
I was doing stand-up, you know, just around the town, and I did a show. I was out with my friend Todd Barry, and we were doing sets around town together. And, you know, I was pretty well-known already, and we both did back-to-back 15-minute sets at this club, the New York Comedy Club. And he paid me $10, and it was a Saturday night. I didn't think anything of it, you know. And we were outside talking, and Todd somehow brought up that he, you know, mentioned that he got $60. He just got $60, and I just got $10. We did the exact same time, back to back, on the same show. And I asked the owner, Al Martin, and I said, Al, why did you pay me $10 and you gave Todd Barry $60? And he, you know, it was so perfect, because he goes, oh, did you want a $60 spot? It was symbolic. I didn't need $60. I mean, but it's, you know, it's pretty shitty. I think the best person for the job should get jobs. I'm all for women having to work harder to prove themselves at this juncture, if that's the way it is in the world.
Meanwhile.
Hi, Sarah Silverman, Al Martin here. It's been a long time, we haven't spoken, and I noticed your video on the internet yesterday. And the quality was real good, but I could tell you that the content was absolutely false. You see, when you're going to tell a story on the internet, you should be truthful. And the truth is that you were not booked on that show in question that evening. You were a guest spot. You came in with Todd Barry. Todd Barry was a booked spot that night. And at the end of his spot, he received his pay. You did your guest spot, left, you started talking to Todd outside. I guess you found out he was paid, assumed you should get paid. Then you came back to me and asked for pay. I felt bad. You were starting to get some stuff on TV, and I didn't want to have a bad relation with you. So I decided to give you some cab fare. Apparently you misunderstood that to say that I pay women less.
Confirm kill.
Well, now there are millions of parents and grandparents in this country who may be reluctant to show their children affection in public for fear they'll be labelled a dirty old man. Some of these innocent men have been questioned, even detained by police while going about their parental duties. As James Thomas reports, it highlights a growing trend where all men are considered potential predators.
A lady takes photos by the kids' pool. No one bats an eyelid. She's harmless. But what happens when a man does the same thing?
We had a report that someone fitting your description was taking photos of kids up here.
It's this whole thing that men are guilty until they're proven innocent, and that's really wrong.
An airline passenger is asked to move from children on a plane. He's done nothing wrong, except he's a man.
And I said to her, isn't that discrimination?
On planes, in classrooms, by pools. Men are being typecast in a role no one wants to be known for.
Not every guy in society is a pedophile, and to be viewed that way is a massive injustice.
On a flight to Sydney, passenger John McGurr says that Virgin Airlines treated him like a sexual predator.
A stewardess came up and she said, I'm going to have to ask you to move. I said, why? And she goes, because you're not allowed to sit next to children because you're a male.
It's a bit sexist, isn't it?
It's just our policy to not have males sitting next to unaccompanied minors.
And she walked up the aisle trying to find a female to ask to swap with me. By that time, people had looked around and...
Yeah, how did it make you feel?
Like I'd done something wrong, defenceless as well.
On the face of it, the policy certainly does seem to be discriminatory. It's aimed particularly and only at men.
Barrister David Galbally.
I think the Sex Discrimination Commissioner should act on this immediately and shouldn't let it continue.
Virgin declined an on-camera interview. In a statement, they say their policy is based on customer feedback and is common to many airlines. However, in light of the John McGurr complaint, Virgin are in the process of finalising a new policy, pending the outcome of a formal risk assessment.
One solution basically is to keep the seat free. So males or females can't sit there, but the reason that Virgin don't do that is because it's a seat they can't sell.
In view of the statistics, John sees Virgin's policy as illogical.
A lot of the time the male perpetrators are known to the child.
According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, 30.2% of child sex abuse is perpetrated by a male relative. The least likely is a stranger at 11.1%.
So basically, a Virgin would have to say to any father or uncle, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to sit next to your child.
The suspicion that because I'm a male, I'm actually their child is at some risk offends me.
Steve Badger runs one of the country's most successful swim schools. He fears that political correctness is scaring men out of his industry.
One of the kids that I had encouraged to become a swimming teacher said to me this morning that he's actually given up on becoming a swimming teacher because he didn't want an occupation where he felt like he was under constant scrutiny about the way that he was handling himself with children.
The governing authority, AustSwim, now trains teachers to ask permission every time a child in a class needs to be held or touched.
I've yet to be convinced that any of these measures have actually ended up in protecting one extra child.
Just on beat one?
And in the classroom, male teachers are becoming an endangered species.
There's nothing more important than educating the next generation, and we should have our brightest and best, both men and women, doing that work.
Norm Hart is the president of the Australian Primary Principals Association.
It is the fear of litigation, of being judged, of having people think that you have ulterior motives for the work that you do, that makes people, or particularly young men, say, well, that is not the profession for me, I'll think about doing something else instead.
The consequences of the idea that all men are predators is so damaging.
Dr. Karen Brooks is a professor of cultural studies. She believes that society risks alienating men on a wide scale.
Gender discrimination against men in our society does exist, and we see it in multiple forms.
Now, back to those actors we hired to take photos by the children's pool at the beach. The woman loitered for close to half an hour without any interruption. It was a different story with our male actor. First, a protest from a beachgoer.
Hey, stop!
And then some polite questions.
So you wouldn't have any problem me checking your shots out?
No, not at all.
Of course, there were no photos because it was all a stunt to make a point.
What a terrible thing to do to our young men, you know, to do to our brothers, our nephews, our husbands, our lovers, you know, dreadful. Let's stop it.